For the second consecutive morning here in Oklahoma City, the sun is shining and capacity crowd is making their way on base to witness American Air Power produced by the combat-ready warfighters stationed here at this iconic logistics base in the Midwest. Good morning and welcome to day 2 of this 2023 Tinker Air Show. I'm Dan Hawkins from the Air Education and Training Command Public Affairs team and joined for the second straight day by my wingman, Airman First Class McKenna Gott from the Nellis Public Affairs team. Good morning, McKenna. You ready for day 2?
I am so excited for day 2. Day 1 was absolutely amazing, and I want to give a shout out to the 2nd Audio-Visual Squadron from Hill Air Force Base, the 3rd Audio-Visual Squadron from Lackland Air Force Base for putting on this amazing stream. So those of you who may not be able to come out can enjoy from your own home or wherever you may be. So I'm excited to do this again today. The theme for this year's air show is STEM Takes Flight, highlighting the importance of the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics that make human flight possible. And just like yesterday, we have a heavy hitter of events coming up, including our headliner, the U.S. Navy Blue Angels. I am so excited to see them perform again today. We're also going to see the United States Air Force F-35 demonstration team.
Yeah, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And we're also going to see back in the air today the aircraft from Team Tinker, a triad of operational missions that fly above the city of Oklahoma City pretty much every day. The E-3 Sentry AWACS is going to be up there, an E-6B Mercury, that's operated by the United States Navy, the KC-135, also from the 507th Air Reserve Wing. There's even aircraft from just down the road in Altus, Oklahoma. The C-17 demonstration team is here. The Wings of Blue are in the air, McKenna, so the crowd is still filing in, but check it out. We also have a lot of civilian acts coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. I so enjoyed watching Jelly Belly's performance yesterday. Absolutely amazing. We're also going to get to see World War II demo, Tora, as well as a host of other aerial and ground displays.
Yeah, throughout today we'll have also narration from Broadcast Central out there at Airshow Central, boy, Rob Ryder. And so we're waiting to see when the national anthem will come on, but there's also a lot of ways that you can follow the air show on social media as well.
Yeah, be sure to check out Tinker Air Force Base on social media. They have Facebook. We have our stream going there today. You can also follow them on Twitter and Instagram to make sure you have all the up-to-date information. The official app is the Air Force Connect app. It is the official app for the 2023 Tinker Air Show. Download it on your favorite app store.
All right, so we also, if you're waiting out there in line, I know yesterday the lines were a little bit long, and that's to be expected. I guess it is a military
Everyone's excited
base
to be out here.
Yeah, but you got to get out here early, but these are some of the things that you shouldn't bring. You know, I guess the obvious things would be on the list.
You want to make it easy on yourself to get through these gates. As we said, the lines are long as everyone is lining up to get on base. You have to go through security checks. So make sure you don't have any weapons on you. Unfortunately, you cannot bring your own cooler, but don't worry about that. We have plenty of vendors out here, tons of food and drinks, and make sure if you are coming out that you are staying hydrated. It is very hot. Make sure you're wearing sunscreen, but it is going to be another great day.
So the crowd continuing to file in, and again, you can follow the social media platforms to get the latest gate information, and if you have a question, the Tinker Air Force Base Public Affairs team is going out there. But let's take a look actually at what this air show looks like. So if you're coming out, you know where you want to go, and you better get out here quick if you want a good place to sit because it's starting to fill in. But McKenna, when you look at that map, there's a lot to do out here. And not only that, if you get so inspired that you really want to think about joining the United States Air Force, there's also a recruiting section as well.
Yeah, and like we said, the theme of this year's air show is STEM City, And so in partnership with Tinker, local community groups and schools and other companies have put together a 100% free STEM city. So kids can go check out all sorts of fun activities. They can have fun while also learning. And it's a perfect place to go get out of the heat, take a break for a little bit, get hydrated, and then you can come back outside and enjoy the air show.
Yeah, and you see there's a lot of things to do here. There's static displays. There's a parking area where the Navy Thunderbirds are going to be okay, you owe me $5. The Blue Angels are located before they take off. The Wings of Blue are jumping in, but there's vendors, there's food, and me and McKenna are really, really, really hoping to get a snow cone today, if it's the last thing we do.
Yeah, we didn't get to make it over there because that line stayed so long, because I think everybody has the same idea. Let's go grab a snow cone as we walk around so we can cool down while enjoying the air show.
Yeah, so there's the crowd there. You see it in the background. Again, the crowd is continued filing in. It feels like it's maybe a little smoother than yesterday, perhaps, but we do want to point out, though, make sure that you bring some sunscreen and drink your water, because that can be a problem if you don't. So we're going to go ahead.
So saving taxpayers thousands of dollars often comes in the form of a budget. But here at Tinker Air Force Base, a microscope of all things is helping with that. This, however, is no ordinary microscope. Let's take a look.
What you're looking at is no time machine, but it is the world's largest known scanning electron microscope, home to Tinker Air Force Base.
I guess somebody on the outside would never really look at a microscope and think this is important to the Air Force, but it really is.
This vital tool helps engineers find answers to questions.
You can see little itty-bitty tiny precipitates.
And quickly, not always visible to the naked eye.
We can do chemical analysis and evaluations to see if the parts have been made correctly, or if they're being processed correctly, if they've been overheated or overtemped, or if there have been FOD impacts. We can determine what hit the part of the engine.
Before its purchase nearly 2 decades ago, aircraft parts would have to be cut up in order to get a look under the lens, and that costs serious cash.
When years gone by, they just throw the part away if you weren't sure about it. But now we can take a high-meg look and actually see what's wrong, or if there's anything wrong at all.
If it turns out the part is fine, it goes back into service, an aspect of the job most rewarding.
As a taxpayer, I don't know. I like being able to put parts back into service and saving, I don't know, $50,000, $100,000, $500,000 worth of equipment. That's really worth the job for me.
At Tinker Air Force Base, I'm Clayton Cummins.
All right, we're going to pitch it out now to the air show narrator, Rob Ryder.
We thank you for those who caught this vision a few months ago and have made this day a reality. We thank you for the amazing community of sponsors and the awesome residents of Oklahoma who've come out ready to experience the awesome power of air power and to smell jet fuel today. We thank you for the pilots and the STEM teams that have come from all over to share their aircraft and unique skills with us today. Keep them safe. Guard our pilots and teams who will perform today. We ask that you would make this a day full of joy and memories for us. And we ask your blessings on the behind-the-scenes workers who are making this day possible for us. From those guarding our entry control points, those patrolling our grounds, those cleaning up the trash, our medical teams caring for the sick and injured, and of course those filling our air with the smell of food. As we experience the amazing power of these aircraft, may we be reminded of the power and strength you provide us every day to live the lives you've called us to live. God bless this air show, and God bless America. This we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Colonel. Ever since men and women have walked on the earth, they dreamed of flying. They wondered what the birds could see that they could not. Even 500 years ago, artist and inventor Leonardo da Vinci dreamed of flight and made drawings of a flying machine. But it wasn't until 1903 that two brothers from Dayton, Ohio, Wilbur and Orville Wright built a powered airplane and overcame gravity and taught the world to fly. And that's what we're going to do today. We are going to fly. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls. The 2023 Tinker Air Force Base Star Spangled Salute is about to begin. In the next few hours, you'll see the Wings and Blue parachute team from the Air Force Academy. You'll meet Jeff Shetterly flying the World War II Advanced Trainer, the SNJ. We'll see the C-17 Globemaster 3 and the KC-135 demonstrate. We'll celebrate and commemorate the Tuskegee Airmen with the Commemorative Air Force's Red-tailed B-51. We'll see the first operational jet trainer, Greg Collier in the T-33. Matt Younger flies the World War II twin trainer, the Twin Beach. Kent Beach will fly for you. We'll see the reenactment of Tora, the attack on Pearl Harbor. Team Tinker, and of course you won't want to miss the United States Navy's Blue Angels. All of that in the air and on the ground as we aviate, as we celebrate, and as we communicate and commemorate. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great day to be proud to be an American. Right now, the 2023 Tinker Air Force Space Star Spangled Salute starts now. Hello, everybody. My name is Rob Ryder. It is good to be back after 4 years away. What a time we're going to have. And in just a moment, we'll be bringing in the Wings of Blue. But before that, we are going to actually have the singing of our national anthem. And I would like to tell you just a little bit about that origin of that story before I introduce Staff Sergeant Tim Orr to sing the Star-Spangled Banner. The year was 1814. Our young United States of America was involved in the War of 1812, what many historians consider to be our second War of Independence. And on September 13th of that year, an American attorney was taken to a British ship in Baltimore Harbor to arrange for a prisoner exchange. And while he was aboard that ship, he witnessed a 25-hour shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry when some 1,500 shells, cannonballs, and mortars were fired on the fort. Over that night, he feared the fort would be overtaken by the British. But the next morning, he didn't see a white flag of surrender. Instead, he saw a huge 32-foot by 40-foot American flag flying above the port, indicating an American victory. That attorney was also an amateur poet. His name was Francis Scott Key, and he was inspired to write a poem called The Defense of Fort McHenry, the first stanza of which became our national anthem. So wherever you are, since you're already standing, please remove your caps. If you're in uniform, come to attention as Staff Sergeant Tim Orr sings our national anthem. Tim?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Yes, sir, Tim. Way to go, my friend.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the narrator for the Wings of Blue. He is Cadet Second Class Jason Booker. Jason, we got jumpers in the air.
Ladies and gentlemen, turn your eyes to the sky as our jumpers perform the bomb burst maneuver. Watch as all 5 of our skydivers come together and form that bomb in the sky, and watch as they burst away and track away to safely deploy their canopies at a safe distance away from each other. Watch. At this time,
great national anthem rendition there by Staff Sergeant Tim Orr from Team Tinker. That was pretty cool.
It was, and we are excited to get ready for day 2. It's coming up now.
Yeah, the Wings of Blue are jumping in. Let's take a look at the acts that are coming up. We showed the graphic a little bit early.
Ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
see. A lot happening. Of course, Adam Baker is getting ready to come up in his extra 330. Shake and Bake is his call sign. But your Jelly Belly's coming up already in 20 minutes or so.
I know. I can't wait to see it. We mentioned the F-35. You're also going to have the F-35 Heritage flight that you get to check out. And there's just so much to see. If you can make it out here, we would love to have you. But we are glad for you to be watching from home as well. And, if you know anyone else, friends or family, can't make it out here, be sure to share this with them so they can enjoy all these acts throughout the day.
Well, that C-17 KC-135 demo is going to be really awesome. Earlier this week on June 27th, Air Mobility Command and AETC participated in Operation Centennial Contact, which celebrated 100 years of aerial refueling. So the crowd here will get to witness that for themselves here. So it's really cool, but Tora. I mean, that always gets the crowd going as well. So it's going to be a full day. Of course, the big headliners, the F-35 demonstration team will be flying. And then, of course, at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
The
Remember
Blue Angels.
The Blue Angels are going to wrap up this weekend.
So let's toss it back out to Airshow Central.
the canopies fly at about 20 miles per hour. As you see on their downwind, they're being pushed from the back with the wind with about 3 knots of headwind to their back. They're probably flying at about 25 miles an hour right now.
Across the ground.
Across the ground, yes,
Gotcha.
sir. Coming in hot from Bedford, New Hampshire with 456 jumps carrying the Navy flag. Let's make some noise for Cadet First Class Ellie Flynn. Now entering the airspace from Minneapolis, Minnesota with 412 jumps, bringing in the Marine flag. Put your hands together for Cadet First Class Georgia Butler. Let's make some noise from Greenville, South Carolina with 443 jumps carrying the Air Force and Space Force flag. Give a warm USAVA welcome to Cadet First Class Nick Marconi. Ladies and gentlemen, in an aerial salute to our nation's heroes that are gone but not forgotten, our next jumper, Master Sergeant Nicholas Crusette, will be landing the Prisoner of War Missing in Action flag from hometown Key West, Florida, with 700 jumps. Put your hands together for Master Sergeant Crusette. Each jumper has a custom-fit harness and canopy ranging in sizes from 170 square feet to 235 square feet. Unlike traditional round canopies, these are high-performance parachutes that are capable of achieving a forward speed of up to 20 miles per hour. Believe it or not, all maneuvers being made by the jumpers are done with only 2 steering lines. By slowing one side of the canopy down, jumpers are able to make precise turns to set up a very accurate landing. Once they're close to the ground, the jumpers will pull on both of these lines to slow their speed and touch down safely. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look due north, our final jumper is not alone in the sky. Our tandem master, Master Sergeant Miguel Soria, has over 1,600 jumps to his name and has the command chief, Chief Master Sergeant Jeffrey Sipos, as his tandem student. Ladies and gentlemen, our final jumpers are low enough that they can hear you. Put your hands together for Master Sergeant Soria and Chief Master Sergeant Jeffrey Sipos. Watch as our tandem master expertly lands his canopy and gets both members on the ground safely. One more time, give it up for Master Sergeant Soria and Chief Master Sergeant Jeffrey Sipos. And safe, a beautiful touchdown landing from our tandem master.
We got jumpers in scoring position.
Yes, sir, we do. Today's jumpers will be packing their parachutes behind the Air Boss's tent. Come out and help the Wings of Blue pack their parachutes. To stay up to date with all things Wings of Blue, follow us on Instagram and Facebook. On behalf of Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Tusher, thank you and blue skies.
Thank you, Jason Booker. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the Wings of Blue. And into the blue sky up above, we have the guy who took off a little bit earlier. He is Jeff Shetterly. He is flying a World War II advanced trainer, known as the T-6 Texan, or the SNJ as the Navy called it. The Royal Canadian Air Force called it the Harvard. It was the last airplane that a cadet would fly before earning his wings in World War II. Performing a 1/2 Cuban 8 maneuver into this incredible sky. Listen to the sound of that motor whine in the sky. Jeff is doing a short portion of what he will perform later in his full-up demonstration. But let me tell you a little bit about this guy. He's from Kansas City, Missouri. He is flying this SNJ T-6 from North American Aviation, dubbed the Pilot Maker, with its radial piston engine, a Pratt & Whitney R1340 9-cylinder radial piston engine. The airplane weighs in at about 5,500 pounds as he does multiple aileron rolls across the show line. Jeff soloed in an airplane on his 16th birthday. He comes from a flying family. His mom is a flight instructor. His dad is a flight instructor. He's a pilot not only for warbirds like this, but also he is an airline pilot. And his brother used to fly the A-10 demonstration team for the United States Air Force. So we've got a lot of flying in the Shetterly family. Here comes Jeff. He became a private pilot when he was 18, just before entering what were known as the Beast Barracks, the boot camp for the United States Military Academy at West Point. From the left, let's watch. Wait a minute. Jeff's coming from the left. Boss, we've got somebody else coming in here. What's going on? I don't understand what. Jeff, you're going to have to knock it off. Don't. Careful now. Oh, boy. Oh, no. Oh, gee. That yellow airplane just lost an aileron. That is just not right. Boss, you got Jeff knocking up. He's out of there. George Klein, our air boss, can you want me to try to communicate with this guy? I'll try to do that. I don't know if I can reach him or not, but I'll try. Yellow airplane, can you read me? Well, it's not going very well. You've just busted the airspace for an air show in your airplane, sir. Yes, it's an air show here. Yeah, that's and you just almost collided with another airplane. Wait a minute. You're out on payroll or parole from Folsom Prison. Sir, what is your name? Chuck Dramamine? Okay, listen, I need for you to land the airplane right away, sir, because, oh, you just scraped a wing. Yeah, I guess it was. Listen, land the plane if you will, please, and don't aim at the tower like that. No, negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. Listen, I need for you to get on the ground. The FAA wants to see you right now. No, not FA, not FFA. It's FAA, Federal Aviation Administration. No, the United States. Please land the plane. What problem is that? No, those are not brake and gas pedals. Those are your rudder pedals, Chuck. That's how you make the airplane go left or right. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, now use that left pedal, and I want you to bring it back around and land the plane right now. Wait a minute. You're reading a book on how to fly the plane? You're not a pilot? Well, I'm glad you got a book. Where did you get this airplane? You mean you built it while you were in prison? It just got caught on your tail there. The book just fell out of your airplane. Listen, the stick comes up through the floorboards. You push forward on the stick to make the houses get bigger. You pull back on the stick to make the houses get smaller. You better pull up. Pull up. Pull up, Chuck. Oh. Listen, Chuck, I want you to use that stick very, very gently. Push it to the right, use a little bit of that right pedal, and line up on the runway and land this airplane right now. What a couple of things. Yes, you're banking a little bit, but you better bank on not crashing. Oh, banking problems, huh? Uh-oh. You just lost a wheel. Yeah, I guess you do have a wheel problem. Yeah, well, we'll clean that up later. Listen, I need to get you to land right away, sir. No, you can't be that busy. I need for you to land right now. Busy doing what? Say that again? You're doing paperwork. You should be landing the plane. What kind of paperwork? Very important paperwork. There can't be any more very important paperwork than landing the plane. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, I see that. Good luck. Yeah, that's, I hope he can get it. Well, you got part of it. I'm sure you are. All right, Chuck, I want you to get ready to land this thing now. Now that you've taken care of the paperwork, you've read the book up through page 3.5, and there's a throttle on the left. I want you to pull back. Just retard the throttle a little bit. Yeah, that's it. Now, while you go toward the tower, I want you to gently turn to the right. Gently turn to the right. Don't hit the tower, Chuck. I'm sure there are nice guys and ladies up in the tower. All right, you almost got it now. Bring it around to the right and pull that throttle back some more. Pull it back, gently pull it back, and keep that stick just pretty centered there. Let's straighten the stick. That's you're pretty good. You got not bad. All right, now pull back on the throttle all the way and let that tail come back down. Pull back on the stick. Oh, you made it, Chuck. You kinda, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not Chuck Dramamine. That is one of the best flyers in these whole United States of America. His name is Kent Peach. Let's give him a big round of applause and make noise because he can hear you in the airplane. How about that? Represented by the Jelly Belly Candy Company of Fairfield, California, Kent Peach will be back a little bit later on to do two very impressive additional performances. One, he's going to try to land on a truck. Number two, he's going to go up to 6,000 feet, shut the motor off, and turn it into a glider and do a full aerobatic display. One of the best guys, best stick and rudder guys in the country, having won both the Bill Barber Award for Air Show Showmanship and the Art Show Memorial Showmanship Award. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to look to your left as we get ready for the next act, but we saw the airplane take off. It was responsible for bringing the Wings of Blue to altitude so they could jump in and put on their tremendous display here. This is the C-47. About 11,000 of these were built. They came from the Douglas DC-3, and it was, as Dwight D. Eisenhower said, along with the bazooka, the Jeep, and the atomic bomb, one of the four most important weapons of all of World War II, even though it didn't carry a gun. Brad O'Connor, Kevin O'Connor, and Bob Prater are the crew of this C-49 Wildcat powered by the Wright engines. It's owned and operated by the World War II Airborne Demonstration Team based in Frederick, Oklahoma. And they were a last-minute call in and stepped up to the plate to bring the Wings of Blue in. They are going to come back in and land, and so we'll get a chance to see it again. Interestingly enough, the sound of the radial piston engine.
Back here at Dan Hawkins and McKenna Gott, and now we commander here at Air Base Wing and the unofficial mayor, really the mayor of Tinker, as we saw at the luncheon Friday with that they had on Friday night, actually, and you had the chance to speak. But welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. This is really awesome.
Sir, this year's air show has been an amazing success. Can you speak to what it takes to put something like this together?
There are hundreds of people behind the scenes. It took us an entire year to put this together, mainly led by Lieutenant Colonel Kyle M.T. Moats. He's our Operational Support Squadron Commander. And the team of volunteers that he has put together to make this air show happen, they are all amazing. And just, I can't even count the hours that they've had to put together, and the number of meetings and schedules and going TDY and doing all the things they need to do. And right now there's still volunteers out there, checking traffic and doing security out in the heat. Our medical folks are walking around. So it's just a tremendous effort. I'm just real proud of them.
And so we saw that it takes a lot of effort to put it together, and obviously you're a part of that. But we also see that you participated in this air show. Let's take a look. There you are.
Yeah, so I had a great opportunity to jump out with the Wings of Blue. So our cadet-led team out there, we have some enlisted folks that do that, a couple of civilians that are kind of the cadre, but the cadets kind of run that program. They teach other cadets how to skydive, and I went through that program as a cadet back in 1996, and it was amazing to get a chance to jump with them, one more time 27 years later.
How fun was it as you're coming down seeing all the crowd that's out here?
Oh my gosh, what a view. It's just to see the base, from the air, that I don't get a chance to see that very often, and just the entire base, and you look over and you see this mass of people who are coming out to witness, how we generate air power every day here at Tinker. Amazing, absolutely amazing.
I'm sure they're all having a great time getting to see what happens here, a little bit of what happens here.
Yeah.
How important are community partnerships here in Oklahoma City?
We, I think, have probably the best community partnership I've ever seen. Any base, you have to have a good community around you to be able to operate. We help them, they help us. It's just how things work. But the city of Midwest City in particular, and Tinker, I call us twins because we were born together 80 years ago, and Midwest City was actually put into place to house and help do schools and all that stuff while the base was being built. And so over time, we've just kind of grown up together, and we have this really tight partnership, and it's quite amazing. Mayor Dukes has been super awesome every time I talk to him in a mentoring role on how to do things, because he's running a city, and so that's where that comes from. He calls me the unelected mayor of Tinker.
and it's true because, although you're very familiar with the mission of the Air Force Sustainment Center and all the logistics-type missions that happen here at Tinker, you kind of have a different role now. And so what's that experience like, and maybe a different appreciation for all of the career fields that kind of make the things happen?
Sure. So I grew up as an aircraft maintenance officer, and that was my focus, is putting airplanes in the air and bringing them back and fixing them. And I didn't think about the other stuff too much. I mean, a little bit because you have to. But the appreciation that you have when you go into the medical group and you see those professionals in there and all the training and the things that they have to do every single day to make sure they're taking care of our active duty airmen, our retired airmen and their families, it's unreal. And then you step over to CE. How are we making sure the base is run the way it needs to run? Sewer, water, power, all of those things. And you can step through communications. You can step through public affairs, of which you're a part, and how we broadcast our message. It is just a huge team effort, and it has been an honor to do this for the last 2 years.
Yeah, and so one of the big reasons why the Department of the Air Force does air and space shows is recruiting, obviously, and obviously that's a hot topic right now. General Brown and all of our Air Force senior leaders know that that's an important aspect. Why did you decide to join the Air Force?
I come from a military family. My grandfather was in the Army Air Corps back in the day, and my father was a fighter pilot for the Air Force, and that's just what I always wanted to do. But I do remember the first air show that I went to, and I caught that bug. I'd seen airplanes flying around all my whole life, but to go to an air show and really get to touch an airplane, to see some of the capabilities of the aircraft, because all we got to do was see them take off and land.
Yeah.
But when you get to see the capabilities of those aircraft, that bug catches you, and I want to be a part of that somehow.
And now you get to be such an integral part of making this happen and inspiring hundreds of people. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's just real fortunate. I just had a blessed career. I really have.
Well, I mean, I guess it was sort of destined because you were born on an Air Force base, at least from what I was told.
Yeah, I was born at Laughlin Air Force Base. My dad was going through pilot training. He started off as a weapons system officer in the back of an F-4, did the Vietnam thing, came back to pilot training, and so I was born in Del Rio, Texas.
I mean, I don't know. Some people would say that's destiny, right?
Perhaps.
So as you look towards, this thing starting to wrap up, obviously we still got a lot of flying today, and of course the headline acts, and who doesn't like watching the F-35 and of course the Blue Angels.
Bayo, she's amazing.
Yeah, but how proud are you of the team for pulling this off? I know this is a Herculean effort.
Yeah, I wish I had words, right? I'm a maintenance officer, so my vocabulary is not very good. But I cannot thank them enough for all they did. Just hundreds and hundreds of individual people putting in hundreds of additional hours on top of the work that they have to do every day in the business that we are in to put this together and see it go so successfully. All right, and taking lessons learned from our last air show and applying them to this, and you can see that, right? So we've done much better with taking care of people medically when we needed to do that. We've done much better with the flow of the air show, and so I couldn't be more proud of this team.
As you get a good look there on your screen, the C-17 getting ready to take off. Of course, the first command being represented there right down the road at Altus Air Force Base.
Absolutely.
And so there it goes into the air. But, sir, we really appreciate you stopping by. Congrats to you and the team for pulling this off. Thank you for what you do for the nation every day as well.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. And so you're probably getting to hear a little bit of Sound of Freedom right there, and that's exactly what it is for us. If you're American, that is the sound of freedom. If you're not American, that is the sound of your demise. And so we're trying to put that on display here today.
American Air Power. Nothing like it, sir.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Colonel Hall Seaburn, the commander of the 72nd Air Base Wing. And so if you think that C-17 was impressive, the B-52 is a pretty impressive aircraft as well. Check out some of the modernization efforts as Clayton Cummings tells you a little bit about what's happening with the B-52.
It was January 2022 when this B-52, better known as Damage Inc., was resurrected from the Arizona desert, crossed I-240, and brought to its new home.
Very proud to see an aircraft like this that's sitting here in Oklahoma City, right outside the gates of Tinker, being able to support the B-52 modernization effort.
Damage Inc.'s fuselage and left wing were brought to OKC to help developers test new technology and modifications. It's part of the commercial engine replacement program.
Really enables the team from both Boeing and the Air Force to come here right outside the gates of Tinker and work on the aircraft hands-on without taking an aircraft down from an operational unit, without traveling to a B-52 base and location.
Upgrades to the B-52 include a new Rolls-Royce engine, a radar similar to a modern-day fighter aircraft, and new cockpit communication panels. Boeing says it's already started its initial design process.
With new engines, a new radar, as well as a new comm suite, isn't going to be the same B-52 that we flew in Vietnam. It's going to be something relevant that will keep our adversaries on their toes and afraid for years to come.
It's all the more proof that you can, in fact, teach an old aircraft new tricks.
Every Oklahoman should be proud of what is going on here in their backyard.
And now we are going to toss it out to Show Center with Rob Ryder.
With the power of the civilian version of the engines that are on this aircraft right now. The F-117 engine from Pratt & Whitney. The C-17 is so advanced in its technology that it only takes a crew of 3 people to fly and make this airplane function. 2 pilots and 1 loadmaster. So advanced is the offload, onload capability of the C-17 that it only takes 1 person to handle all of those duties. It is also located very close to the ground with all the access panels for maintenance and very important equipment located near the ground, so they don't have to have special stands to service the aircraft. It has its own set of jacks. If it blows a tire, they can lift it up on its own jacks that are built into the landing gear. From 515 miles per hour top speed, or we saw about 350 miles per hour, approaching from the left, the C-17 Globemaster III is now approaching at about 150 miles per hour. What you will see here is an aircraft that is aerodynamically dirty. The leading edge slats on the wings are curved down. The trailing edge flaps are extended, changing the shape of the wing to create more lift at low speeds. The landing gear is down. Some 220 of these aircraft are in use by the United States Air Force. About another 50 are used by other air arms around the world. The slow speed pass. Today's demonstration is flown by pilots Major Jonathan Crawley, Major Travis Rich, and another safety pilot, Major Emily Barkemeyer. The loadmaster is Master Sergeant Mitchell Thompson. Among the 4, they have accrued over 12,000 hours of flight time in various United States Air Force aircraft. Now as they get past, the throttles will come forward, the landing gear will come up, the flaps and slats will be retracted, and off they will go. The C-17 can carry 102 troops, fully equipped combat troops. It can carry up to 160,000 pounds of cargo, up to and including an M1A1 Abrams main battle tank. What you're seeing here is the third most expensive aircraft in the United States military inventory. The most expensive one ever built was the stealth bomber, the B-2 stealth bomber, the Spirit. They are stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base outside of Kansas City, Missouri. Those came in at a cost of about $737 million apiece. There are only about 20 of those aircraft in existence. Next, the E-3 Sentry, the airborne warning and control aircraft that we will see fly later on with Team Tinker, coming in at $270 million. And the cost of the C-17, $218 million. Now watch him as the crew banks sharply into about a 45-degree bank turn. Some say that the C-17 has experienced a bit of an identity crisis because aircraft of this size usually have a big control wheel or a control yoke to turn the airplane. And in many older planes, those yokes were connected by push rods and cables directly connected to the control surfaces. In this aircraft, there is a quadruple redundant computer-controlled flight control system. But in this aircraft, it doesn't have one of those big yokes. It is more like a fighter in that it has a control stick that comes up between the knees of the pilots on either side in the cockpit. Also, something that's been used in fighter aircraft for decades is a piece of glass onto which is projected the basic important flight information like airspeed, altitude, attitude, heading, and other information important for the pilot, so the pilot doesn't have to look down into the cockpit. That's called a heads-up display, or a HUD, and those are installed on this aircraft as well. Those Pratt & Whitney engines, the F-117 engines, have a combined total thrust of over 700, I should say, let me say that again, over 170,000 pounds of thrust, each of which generates 40,400 pounds of thrust. It's a big airplane, but not the biggest. The wingspan, 169 feet 10 inches. It's 174 feet long and 55 feet from the bottom of the tires to the top of the tail. It'll be back in just a couple of moments. We're going to get an opportunity here to see the KC-135R Stratotanker in just a couple of moments. The KC-135 Stratotanker first went into production in 1957. The original engines were turbojet engines. And over the course of the years, serious modifications were made to about half the fleet with the CFM 56 engines, each of which generates about 21,000 pounds of thrust each. The Stratotanker is an aircraft that has its primary mission being not just cargo, but aerial refueling of other aircraft. If you look way out to the right of the tower, you can see these two aircraft now in formation. In the lead position is the KC-135 Stratotanker. It can weigh in a maximum gross weight of over 322,000 pounds. It can transfer 200,000 pounds of that fuel. That's 29,400 gallons. And a talented boom operator in 1 minute can, I hate to use this term because it's rather indelicate, he can pass gas at a rate fast enough to keep the average U.S. car running for a year. Flying the KC-135 today are pilot Major Vic Bro, co-pilot Captain Zachary Marks, safety pilot Captain Justin Griswold, and the boom operator Master Sergeant Lucas Treat. In the early days of aviation, it was decided that if they could pass gas or refuel in the air, they could keep an aircraft in the air much longer without having to land and refuel and use up valuable time. Well, after World War II, the United States Air Force experimented with and has perfected the flying boom method of aerial refueling. From the right, with a boom operator laying on his belly in a pod at the back of the aircraft with a stick in each hand, he can guide that boom that you see coming out of the tail into a refueling port on just about any other aircraft in the Air Force inventory. They're in a pre-contact position, but this, ladies and gentlemen, from the 97th Air Mobility Wing at Altus Air Force Base, the Stratotanker and the Globemaster III. What a sight that is. Aircraft just taking off. The P-51 Mustang from World War II. He'll be headed out to the perch, and he'll be back in for his demonstration in a little while. The C-17 Globemaster III has been used not only as a huge troop transport or materiel transport, but in some cases as a medical evacuation aircraft. And some missions have involved putting a surgical suite in the back of the C-17 Globemaster III with physicians and attending nurses to take care of one wounded American serviceman. 7 hours from the Middle East to Germany, where there's a hospital. And then another 5 hours back to the United States. But because the C-17 Globemaster III has such great short field takeoff and landing capabilities, it can go to a lot of places that the C-5 Galaxy can't. And that soldier, airman, Marine, or Coast Guardsman, or sailor who has been treated in Germany for his or her injuries can be taken back and flown to the home, to his or her own hometown for a much, much quicker recovery. The KC-135 will be through, I believe, next pass. And I want you to take a look at these nacelles on the KC-135 as it does a very, very low pass. Shortly thereafter, the C-17 will land. But the nacelles on these KC-135R Stratotankers are much larger than the original stovepipe engines that powered the original KC-135. So much larger are they that they are only about 18 inches above the ground sitting on the landing gear. So when a pilot lands this airplane, he or she only has 3 degrees of bank and has to land very precisely, or those nacelles will scrape on the runway, and we don't want to do that. Behind the C-17 getting ready for a tactical landing, and I'll describe that in a moment. But take a look now. The pilots have in their headsets a lady named Betty. and it's a radar altimeter saying 20 feet, 15 feet, 10 feet, 10 feet, 10 feet. Look at this pass. Look at this low pass. This is superb skill, ladies and gentlemen. How about a nice round of applause for the KC-135R Stratotanker? Now, take a look at the C-17 Globemaster III as it approaches. As we saw on its slow speed pass earlier, the leading edge slats down, the trailing edge slats extended, the flaps extended. They're going to touch down, and when they do, they're going to use what are called thrust reversers. Instead of having the thrust of the engines pushing them forward, it's going to be reversed to push them backwards. Notice as it touches down, panels on the engine nacelles will open up, and those thrust reversers will be put into gear, into a deployment. You've felt it on an airliner if you've been there, but as it touches down, watch this. Touchdown, reverse, and this is about as much noise as this airplane is ever going to make. And if you look closely, wave at the guy in the door. Wave at the guy in the door. As advanced as this airplane is, obviously it can back up. From the Air Education and Training Command at Altus Air Force Base in the 97th Airlift Wing, Air Mobility Wing, I should say. That was the Loadmaster. No backup camera on that. As advanced as the airplane is, it still takes a human set of eyes, a set of human eyes to...
Wow, what an awesome performance. And you just saw the KC-135 flying up there, but another refueler is also the KC-46. We don't hear much about him, but let's take a look at this to learn more.
It is an organized chaos inside Tinker's KC-135 facility.
It's really intricate with what we do.
But here, taking apart and completely rebuilding the refueling tanker is just another day in the office.
It is hard to find another base that can do what we do. The amount of work we do and the time we do and the efficiency that we do it in.
Alongside scheduled maintenance,
it feels really good to see something in the sky that I've worked on.
Comes a unique sense of pride for Belinda Blakely.
It makes me really proud because I know that they can refuel those other jet fighters.
Pride felt too on the opposite side of base.
Yeah, it looks good.
Where maintenance on the Air Force's newest refueling tanker just set up shop, KC-46.
It's got some of the most powerful engines on a commercial derivative aircraft, and the versatility. It can, from the cargo role to the aerial refueling role, and it can do 3 jobs at the same time. That's just an amazing airframe.
The KC-46's 2020 arrival has been a shot in the arm for Tinker. With 4 hangars built, 10 more to go, it's safe to say the future here has never looked better.
We have everyone from about every facet of life here, but everybody works for the common goal to take care of the warfighter. And it's a neat harmony that you don't see a lot of in a lot of workplaces.
At Tinker Air Force Base, I'm Clayton Cummings.